Dear Brambling, it's Uncle Luke here. I hope you're doing well today. Today is BC Day here in Vancouver, and so, yay, I get a day off. I'm so excited. Wow, I've been working really hard this past week. I also want to just say sorry to everyone waiting on this episode. I have procrastinated a lot. Yeah, just dealing a lot with the process of, what comes with witnessing a traumatic event. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? It's just been put on the back burner, and I'm sorry, but here I am. Here I am, finally. I'm gonna just get it done. Get her done, bud. So yeah, in the last episode, I was talking with my friend Richard. We left off kind of talking about the Myers-Briggs test and how when Richard took it, he actually came up with like different results every single time. But yeah, this conversation also goes into a discussion about mentor relationships, which I actually found to be really quite remarkable and a great chance for me to just kind of get out some of my feelings about some of my past mentors. And yeah, then we talk about boundaries. And yeah, like I said, I talk about a time when I had to put up a strong boundary. And yes, just to let you know, everything has been resolved. It is all okay now. Yeah, sometimes boundaries are, well, Prentice Hemphill said it the best. They are the distance in which I can love you and me simultaneously. And yeah, I love this conversation because Richard, being a student psychologist and really understanding, the complexity and the nuances of this stuff, takes my story of setting a boundary and validates and lays it out and listens and just, I don't know, I'm very thankful. And yeah, everything is okay now. It's all okay. I'm also, I guess some little notes or some updates. So I'm currently also working on season 2 of the Dear Brambling podcast, where I am reaching out to a whole bunch of other guests, maybe having some returning guests, and I am taking this time right now to just record. And I'm going to just record, and I've got some help from some more editors now, and so I'm going to send them off, get them edited a little bit, and I've got some new theme music coming. I might even have some access to a space coming up soon. I don't know yet, but there's some things in the works, and I'm really excited to really just kind of pour myself into this podcast, because something really special has come out of it, and it has become this important, integral part of my healing right now, and I'm just really grateful for that. And I if I keep going and doing this for forever and ever, for as long as I can, that sounds really nice. It really does. So with that being said, I don't want to hold you up any longer, so I am going to let you continue on with the conversation with my friend Richard, and I will see you on the other side.
So my mom does a 23andMe, and she, it was funny looking at all the traits that like her DNA would suggest, and it was just like, and it was like, oh yes, you've got the muscles of an athlete, like based on your genetics. You are like not prone to seasonal allergies. You may be slightly allergic to cats, but it said like, oh, you don't drink as much coffee, like you drink a normal amount of coffee. And then I'm looking at this and being like, this is not my mom. She has the worst allergies I've ever seen in anyone.
Oh no.
I am very not athletic. I look like a medalist compared to my mom. And she drinks coffee like it's nothing. She drinks it right before bed.
As I'm sipping a cup of coffee.
And so it's just so funny seeing like this test that's like based on her DNA, but like it's still flawed and there's still issues.
Because I just don't, it's so true. You can't really just put people into like boxes, essentially.
So describe yourself and describe like...
Myself?
Well, no, just like as advice. Describe.
Yes.
Get into that. And so...
Yes.
Relationships. I love how we're here.
I know. Wow.
I love how we're at the like actual topic that I initially had said, let's do this topic. But I think that just says something about like how our emotions are so essential to our relationships and like how our relationships form our emotions.
Mm-hmm. Well, because we are social beings, right?
Yeah.
And belonging is one of our instinctual needs.
Yeah.
We want to belong to a group or to people.
Because we die if we don't belong to a group of people.
Exactly, right?
That's humanity. It's terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah. To be alone on an island.
Yeah.
Castaway, is that the movie?
Oh yeah.
Tom Hanks. And the volleyball.
He had Wilson.
He had Wilson. But there's a creative example of
the need for social interaction
that will just create it.
Yeah.
Out of an inanimate object.
Well, like, Passengers. I thought I was going to hate the movie.
This is the one with Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, like, he wakes up, he's on, like, a 90-year voyage where everyone's put in suspended animation, and his pod opens up early.
Uh-oh.
And he's able to last a year by himself. But at the end of the year, he only has like a robot bartender to talk to. And at the end of the year, he almost commits suicide. Or, sorry.
Spoilers.
No. Yes. Spoilers for this, but also I just want to say something around, the language of committing suicide. That's not how we should say it anymore. He attempted suicide.
Okay.
I
get that.
Yeah, committed is like related to
like a crime.
Crime, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see. I work with suicidal clients for a year, and I'm trying to change that language. It can be hard, but yeah, he ends up falling for Jennifer Lawrence, and like he listens to all of her audio logs and video logs that like are on the ship. Really needs that relationship. And he eventually pretends that her pod malfunctioned as well when it was actually him that opened it.
Wait, so did he like
hallucinate? No. He condemned her to like be alone with him on the ship for the next like 90 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
He forced his will. Oh,
it's really shitty. And I think like honestly, a really good movie.
Interesting.
Because, like, it's not saying that, like, in no way says what he did was right, but, like, you understand the need for social interaction.
Right? We
like,
do what we need to... We do what we feel like we need to do in order to survive.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, I have some empathy for his choice.
Yeah. Even though it's a shit. And here we go. Here's a dialectic.
Yeah.
You understand, like, why he made this choice.
Yeah.
But, like... Also, wow, that was a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
And like, yeah. One thing I wanted to talk about, which has kind of been hitting me hard, is mentor relationships right now. Mentor
relationships. Oh, fascinating.
Because I think that's really important. And like, I mean, I've had many mentors through, like, as somebody, I'm in a PhD program right now. Like, you have to have a lot of people helping you along the way.
Yes.
In something like that. And you have to, you just have to naturally gravitate towards that. And I'm like, so I've got a lot of examples, but I'm wondering, do you have any examples of mentors?
Yeah, I do. In my mind... Mentor is a word used... Oh, okay, we're sharing a drink.
Do you want some more?
Yeah, I want some more of this spicy kombucha. Hopefully we got a good audio of that. That's awesome.
Ooh.
ASMR. That is good.
Yeah, surprisingly.
So a mentor is someone essentially who guides you down your path, the chosen path that you want to go down, right? Is that how you would define a mentor?
Yes, but there are distinctions between good and bad mentor that go beyond that. But keep going.
Okay. So yeah, people that I have had in my life who are supposed to have like the knowledge about the path that I want to go down, and they're supposed to guide me down. I think one of my most significant mentors in my life was my dance teacher, Tony. He was the longest dance teacher I had.
Mm-hmm.
And he definitely...
He was 10 feet tall. No, joking.
What I mean by
Sorry. Sorry.
He was. No, he wasn't. What I mean by that is, like, I had him for 12 years of my dancing career.
Yeah.
And he definitely made me feel just seen.
Yeah.
I think that was the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that he saw me. Maybe didn't make me feel like grandiose special.
Mm-hmm.
But he saw me. He would convince my parents to put me into more things. If that made any sense. And it was in this very well done way where, you know, he would go to my parents and be like, I think Luke should be in a team, like a team of 8, and we should do like a traditional Kaylee and do competitive for that. I think Luke should be in this and Luke should be in that. And it wouldn't really, I guess in a way, because I was really young, it was like my parents deciding where I should be in my journey. And my parents then kind of just putting me into these classes.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have much of a say. However, I enjoyed the majority of all of it.
Okay.
So he kind of laid out the path in front of me, in a sense.
Yeah.
And didn't really make me feel too special about it, but definitely nurtured the path I was going down. And there's something really healthy about it. I really liked that.
Yeah, and what I was gonna say, like, I wanted to hear your definition before I put in mind that, like, of what a good mentor is. Like, I feel that relationship is a relationship where they want to see you grow. I feel there's 2 types of mentors that you can have. There's the mentor that has a job that they want you to do, or there's the one that really focuses on, I want to grow, help you grow. And I feel like you can probably think of some bosses that you've had that it's more like, you're doing a job for me.
Yes.
Versus the ones that have been like, I want you to achieve your best.
Interesting. I like how you just worded that, because then, you know, it just really made me think about the value of the obliviousness I had during my experience sometimes about, I'm not really sure what this path is leading me down, but like I had this trust in my mentor and in my parents that it was the right path. And like I just got to experience it without people telling me how I should be experiencing it. Right? It was very much my own experience. And I think that's what made it very valuable for me. And the reason why it just kind of like wove itself into my heart center is like, this is my relationship with Irish dance. That I think was what made Tony one of the most valuable mentors. I've had so many mentors in Irish dance, and I had one specifically, and I think this one that I'm going to talk about is the reason why my masochistic shadow is female, because I think she's a reflection of her. But if I were to take a step back and unpack that whole mentor relationship that I had, her self-worth was dependent on her students' success. And she didn't have a lot of her own self-worth. Right? I do even remember her even saying to all of us in a class, like, when you're at a competition, you are no longer your parents' child. You are my little dancers.
And like that just shows that, like what I said, it's you're doing a job for her.
Yes.
Rather than it being like celebrating your own success, it's a celebration of her success if you win.
Yes. Yes, and now this is bringing me back to my unpacking of all the traumas of Irish dance with my friend, where we were kind of breaking down the linguistics of like the competition in Irish dance. When you receive an award in Irish dance, and in insert placement here, like in third place is Luke Benoit from insert school name here, which is usually the last name of the mentor. And what we're saying in that culture is that when you win, your dance teacher also wins.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes what happens in that culture is that in the dance teachers, in their psychology, they hear, and in first place, my name, I win.
Yeah.
And they totally forget that the dancer won.
Versus the other, like, the good mentor is the one, like, yes, I just heard my name, but it's because I was able to help Luke.
Right? And maybe they even recognize, oh, whose name was said first?
Yeah.
Luke's name was said first. My name is second.
Yeah. But, like, ultimately it seems like it's a pride for your success, not for their success.
Yes. And I'm not saying that Tony was perfect in this way, because I know that there's been other students that haven't had the best experience with him.
Yeah.
Right? But he's been a teacher for 30, 40, I don't even know, years. He's had a reputation, right? And he's had thousands of students. And they come and go, right? But I think, speaking from my experience, that I think it was probably one of the best for me, right? He created this environment and this culture in his dance school for me that created this value and this meaning.
Yeah.
Right? It was lovely. It was perfect for me.
And like I think an added layer of that is like how much autonomy and how much like you become part of that team. And I will always fondly reflect when I was learning DBT, I was learning it at an actual like a DBT centered therapy clinic.
Wow.
And when you're doing DBT, it also includes all those big parts that I talked about with you're doing group therapy, you're doing individual, you can call your therapist, that's another thing. But one of the other components is group consult, therapy for the therapist.
Oh.
And that's where we all get together as therapists in the center and we talk about our difficult clients. And I think the fascinating thing was, and it doesn't always remove that power differential, because I think the power differential between you and a mentor is important, and like that's an important limit that you have between the two of you. But I really liked being in that environment because they treat you as an equal.
Yes.
In that sense. And like their whole idea is like, yes, we have been doing DBT for many years, but a student's going to come by with an idea that's may just be so basic, but maybe something we've overlooked. And I mean, there were times when my supervisor would bring things towards me and be like, this is one of my clients, what do you think's going on here? And I could offer that insight. And it's just like, it was interesting to experience a mentor relationship where that quality happens at points. And I've noticed that actually like a lot of my mentor relationships, like they may not start out that equal, but the ones that have been really good eventually get to that point where we like snap to like where we're at least overlapping and I can say something and like help develop them as a person.
You're making me think of, with this whole equality mentor, compassion. Why am I snapping to compassion? I think the reason why I'm going down this path is because of Pema Chodron's definition of compassion. She mentioned something about how it's not a relationship between the wounded and the healer. It's a relationship between two equals.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I think like a healthy mentorship is almost a compassionate relationship.
Yeah. And I think from that is the ability for the mentor to say that they're wrong on something. And I think I guess that's another piece to it. It's not necessarily growth, but they're willing to be humble as a mentor is probably really important. Definitely really important.
Wow. Yeah.
I thought it was important to bring that up because there's going to be mentors throughout that don't foster those things. And I'm really realizing myself like how to identify those. And I'm just starting at a new clinic, and my supervisor is reviewing every single tape of therapy that I do. That is a lot of work, but it just shows how much she like, and we've just known each other for a month, but it just shows how much she's willing to give into this so that I take a lot away from it. And it's not just, here, go do this thing for me.
Yeah.
And make me money.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
I'm taking that for myself, right? If a good mentor is compassionate, is humble, what else were we saying?
Wants to grow.
Wants you to grow.
Yeah. And I think, like, that's something that I need to also take, because, like, I supervise research assistants, and like, as a grad student, you can sometimes overlook that. And I'm about to actually work really close with some research assistants, and like, you got to be there to help them grow, and that's like a really important aspect of it. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, the one thing I wanted to end on was boundaries. Because I think that's that's something really important in relationships, and
I'm glad we're talking about that.
Yeah, and like, I wanted to add the language of DBT into this, because I like, and through my work there, I actually don't like the term boundary, because I think like it seems like something that's artificial, that's like stuck, like it's like a fence.
Yes.
You have like assembled this artificial boundary that I do not want you to cross as another person.
Right.
And
there is like a solid structure, like a solidification around the word. I definitely agree with that. Yes.
So we refer to it in DBT as a limit, because like, we all have limits.
Yeah. That
is a real thing. Yeah. It's not just something that you're putting down for the sake of, get off my lawn. It is a sake of, oh my God, if you trample my lawn, I'm gonna like not be doing good, am I?
Yes.
And so like, it's a real thing. It's also like, a limit seems like it's more flexible. It's not like you have put up that boundary. It's something like, I'm going to extend my limits. I'm gonna bring my limits closer to me. It's like, it's something that's more maneuverable, but like, I think it's a good way of describing it.
Interesting.
And, yeah. Have you ever had to put up limits with somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the reasons why this masochistic shadow, using that language again, is grown so big and has woven herself into a lot of different aspects of my psyche is mainly due to the reason that I have difficulty setting up my limits and boundaries, or whatever you want to say. Sure. Right?
Not gonna hit you if you say boundaries.
It's literally in like all the texts that I read, they use the word boundaries. So it's 100%. Very interesting how it's so societally accepted to use the word boundary versus limit.
Yeah.
Which, it's interesting, like in the King, Warrior, Magician, Lover book, reading about boundaries, your boundaries are limits that you set.
Oh yeah. Okay, right? Good. Okay.
That's all I wanted to read, but he literally says boundaries are limits, which I when I read that I was just like, haha.
you're I think that's very interesting, that like that's the language that some people are adopting. And like, because boundaries is used a lot, but I think I think it's better to describe it as a limit. But anyways.
What was interesting, however, in that book is that they describe the warrior he uses his anger effectively, right? His anger is the tool that he uses to determine where that limit is. Yeah. Right? And if you start getting angry, that means that someone has crossed that limit. And, a healthy warrior acts on it and is clear about those limits. Yeah. I think for me, though, I have a dysregulation when it comes to anger sometimes, where it can be very loud and big, and I think that could possibly come from reflecting what I notice from maybe my parents. When they experience anger, it can be quite loud and big.
Yeah.
And when I experience anger with others, I have this fear of being too loud and big with others, and I have this fear of hurting others.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm afraid of that sadist shadow coming out and just...
So it turns masochistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? So I then turn into the masochistic side where I'm just like, it's fine, guys.
Yeah.
It's fine. And it's interesting how recently I've been really working on setting some more limits in my life. And there's the story of Iron John. It's like, it's a fable sort of tale where it starts off with this hunter who is bored one day and he really wants some excitement. So he goes to the king of a kingdom and he's like, I'm here to help. Do you have any issues? And the king is just like, oh, heck yeah, we got some issues. People are going missing in the woods and we don't know why. And he's like, perfect, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So the hunter takes his dog and they go into the woods and they go searching for whatever is taking all these people, to which they find this puddle, right? And the dog goes by it and this hand reaches out and takes the dog and brings it down underneath the puddle, which turns out to be this really deep well, right?
Doggy.
And the hunter was really sad losing his dog, but he ultimately was like satisfied realizing that this is the thing taking all the people. So he then gathers some workers and some civilians from the kingdom to help drain the puddle, and underneath they find that there's this man and he's got this wild, crazy red hair, and the red hair almost looks like rusted iron. And so this is the Iron Man, or the Iron John or something, right? And so the hunter brings him to the king, and then the king, being afraid of this like wild, untamed man, puts him into a cage. One day the prince of the kingdom was playing with his golden ball, his favorite toy, and he accidentally throws it too far and it trails into the cage of the Iron Man. And so he goes up to the Iron Man and he's like, can I have my ball back? And he's like, well, you'll get your ball if you can release me from my cage. And so the little prince is like, okay, well, where do I find the key? And the Iron Man says, it's under the pillow of your mom. When I was told this story, I wasn't told the ending.
Okay.
Which really like frustrated me. But I think ultimately it's a fable that's supposed to represent how men grow up. Sometimes how we are essentially the Iron Man. We are the wild man, right, who is imprisoned and wants to be free. But we are also the little prince, right, who wants his golden ball back.
Yeah.
But it's all being blocked or safeguarded by the key that's under the pillow of the queen or of the mom. And that's kind of supposed to represent that sometimes our mother can have all these dreams and ideas about who she wants her son to be, not realizing that she's keeping the key away from her son to being that person that she wants to be. So ultimately it's up to you, the little prince, who is also the crazy wild man, to what to do with that. So for me, what I've recently done is I've kind of cut off my mom. And not in... It was a little harsh. It was, I'll admit. But I do intend to reestablish that relationship with her. But currently at this present moment, I just decided to stop talking to her and just give myself a few months to breathe and a few months to just determine, what do I want? And quite honestly, I feel really happy. I feel really just like free.
Yeah.
I feel very free.
Yeah. And I mean, unfortunately, sometimes we have to get to that point where we do distance ourselves from people that we really care about. And that, like, again, another dialectic. You probably really care about your mom, but you're taking some time away from her.
Yes, I do.
Because it's healthy.
Yeah.
And, like, I think, like, it's you get into that incredibly difficult situation when, like, even though you've asked for something, you still aren't getting it. And that can be a really hard decision to do. and sometimes it's the only decision to be able to come into your own, or be able to give yourself that time to be mindful and understand your own self, rather than be told what you should be doing and how you should be doing it.
Yes.
And
yeah, no, I definitely think that it comes from this place of love, right?
Yeah, that fable, like the queen protecting the thing, you don't really want to release this thing that keeps dragging people under the water.
No.
So, like, I think there's some...
I mean, there's uncertainty. I think that's kind of what the hand dragging down the dog represents, is like, there's uncertainty and there's a little danger.
Yeah.
Sometimes releasing the wild man.
Yeah.
Right? But there's the dialectic there, right?
Yeah.
Like, you love your child so much that you want to protect them from the world, but in doing so, you're harming them more.
For not making mistakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
I have a similar thing with my parents. Like, my parents are very protective and, like, sometimes go overboard, and love their... So I'm going to be starting ADHD medication soon, and my mom has some thoughts about it that aren't necessarily that well informed, I don't think. So she's saying a lot of things about it. And my friend who she's been dealing with another advice giving thing from her brother that has been frustrating. She was like, the way that I handled it was I say, I hear you, I understand what you're saying, you can dance on my grave.
Ooh.
Where it's just like, yeah, if it kills me, you are welcome to be happy that you were right, but
wow,
you can dance on my grave.
Harsh but admirable.
And it was just like, I need to say that to my mom, but I think that would not go well. But yeah,
right,
yeah, and I think that's like, I think maybe this is a good thing to close on, is like our changing relationship with our parents, and that's something that I've really noticed in becoming an adult. And like, I think it was like at the beginning of grad school, I looked back and I was like, oh shit, my parents are crazy. And like, I think that realization was like, oh, I get it now. I get it. I get that, like, this is me growing up, is being like, ooh, I need to do things better. I don't know. And I feel like every kid probably goes through that when they grow up. And like, I think it's healthy. I think if you're still thinking that your parents are all knowing and all powerful, that's bad. And again, another dialectic here, I think like saying that your parents have no value in their opinions is, I mean, depending on the situation, is maybe also bad. So it's a middle ground of like, my parents are flawed. And
everyone is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when we expect perfection from the people in our lives is when we get disappointed.
Damn. Ugh.
But I think, to bring it back to boundaries, though, I think like we do need to expect a certain level of something from people around us, or else we stop having boundaries altogether.
No, exactly. I think it was Prentice Hemphill that said probably the most profound quote about boundaries that I will take with me for the rest of my life. What they said was that boundaries are the distance in which I can love you and me simultaneously.
Ooh, I like that. Yes, I think you've mentioned this before, and I think in places where my limits have been crossed, you mentioned it's an anger, and like either an anger directed outward or inward, and I totally get that. Like when my limits or boundaries have been crossed, I either dislike myself for like feeling like they're crossed, or I dislike the other person, and that's when the relationship ultimately crumbles. And it's so hard to put up those boundaries sometimes, because obviously the other person's not going to like it.
Yes. And I think a lot of times people say that when people cross boundaries, they feel resentment.
Mm-hmm.
right? And what I've been learning is that resentment is a function of envy, I believe. And to break it down, I think when someone crosses your boundary, I think there's that resentment, which is actually disguised as anger because they get to do the thing that you don't think is okay.
Yeah.
And now you're just letting them do it. And now you're kind of envious that they're doing the thing that's not okay.
See, I never, like, I guess in the situations that I've felt it, it's never that I've been envious, though. Because it's been more like I've been, like, and I guess this gets back to, like, feeling protective of somebody else. It's like, it's either I'm being hurt or I'm having to have a front row seat of watching you hurt yourself.
Ooh.
And that is horrible.
Yeah.
And, like, boundary here that they want to have is, no, you're sitting and watching me destruct. You're sitting it and you're in the splash zone.
Yeah.
And, like, you better stay or else you're a bad friend.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I felt envious. I can totally see, like, the envy of, like, in other situations, but the situations that I've been in where it's been a real boundary crossing or limit breaking, has been when it's not envy, it's more horror.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Which, again, another dialectic here. I love a person, but loving them is painful because they're hurting themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Both can be true.
Damn it. We're having a crash course on dialectal behavioral therapy here.
I mean, again, not giving a whole course on this, but
No.
it's, and, like, actually I think a lot of this stuff is not necessarily what we'd see as dialectical thinking. Maybe in a broad stroke it is, but...
Okay. But just like, I really appreciate having all these moments where you're like, and again, there's another dialectic there.
Yeah.
And again, there's another dialectic there. Just to kind of, like, pull away the veil and just be like, look at all these things that can be true at the exact same time.
Yeah. And, like, that's, again, the Mr. Burns' germ door.
Yes.
Like, we just need a bigger door.
We really do.
for all the emotions and all the truths and...
Right.
Yeah. So...
Wow. Wow.
So at that, I think that's a lot.
Wow. And there's, like, a dialectic happening where I'm, like, really sad that I think maybe this is the end of the conversation.
You can definitely have me back. Maybe another hard drive.
Maybe another hard drive will fail. I hope not. But yeah, so let's I like to usually end off the conversations with that little rapid fire.
Okay.
Would you be down?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. So, what does vulnerability mean to you?
It's being able to show your true self. I think if I'm to relate it to something technical, I think it's like being able to show your primary emotions. Being able to be honest with somebody, and usually that honesty comes with feeling secure and trusting of the other person.
Wow.
So, a lot of review of what we talked about today.
Yeah. What is your favorite movie?
Oh, okay. I'd have to say Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, yes.
It was, and, like, I think for many reasons. I think just to relate it back to relationships, and I'm going to use air quotes, boyfriend, who actually wasn't at the time, but it was a movie that he went and saw with me for my birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And he hates movies and does, like, for me, I get exhausted reading. For him, he gets exhausted watching movies. So, he would rather watch a play or he'd rather read.
Interesting.
Never watches TV, never movies. So that was really nice that he would go and do that for me, and it was a way that we expanded together. But also, I love post-apocalyptic things, and I just think it's a fantastic movie. It's like, it pales in comparison to watch it at home compared to in theaters. Like, it's an awesome movie. And I think it's feminist as fuck, and Honestly, it's not. It shouldn't be called Mad Max. It should be called Furiosa with Charlize Theron
Yes.
being like the biggest badass. Like, I don't want them to make another Mad Max movie. I want them to make a lot more Furiosa movies.
Ooh. Okay, what is the last TV show that you may have binged?
Last TV show I binged.
And like binge could have several definitions, just whatever it means to you.
The problem is I don't really like. I just have a hard time watching TV shows sometimes because like
Okay.
it seems like I'm gonna invest a lot of time, and I'm like I can't invest a lot of time into it. Then I just watch the same YouTube videos over and over again, and like it's so weird. TikTok. I spend so much time on TikTok.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I'd say the last one that I truly binged was Our Flag Means Death.
Okay. I've never heard of it.
Okay, I think you should watch it. It
Okay.
is. It's a Taika Waititi.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he plays Blackbeard, and it's a love story between two pirates. Let's just say
Oh, okay. That sounds interesting.
it's hilarious
Yeah.
and it's very cute.
Okay.
And because I know the story of these two pirates, and like it's very much not the like it's a fictional romance, but just knowing what actually happens IRL, I'm like, ooh, next season's not gonna be fun at the end.
Uh-oh. Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah. Interesting. I'm excited. Okay. Interesting question. If you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive or fictional, who would they be?
do they have to gel well? I guess
They don't
matter.
have to.
So if I was to have 3 dinners, I'd have them separate.
Oh, okay.
Let's just say this. One would be with my grandma, because I miss her a lot.
Aw.
And we had great conversations towards the end of her life. She actually, like, she frequently became acutely psychotic because of frequent bladder infections. So we thought she was going crazy. And she also, like, would just say things that you were like, what's going on in your brain? Turns out, like, just she was getting a lot of bladder infections, which were causing these delusions.
Interesting. I didn't know that could happen.
Yeah,
Wow.
it definitely can. It's
Wow.
something that happens in elderly people. And then it turns out she couldn't hear barely anything. So I remember the summer, I think it was the summer before she passed, she got hearing aids. And it was like I was able to talk to her again.
Oh.
And that was just like, it was such a wonderful, like, I spent a whole week in Chilliwack, and every day I went to go see her, and we just sat and talked.
Oh.
And it was just so wonderful to have a conversation with her again, and like, it's just so wonderful. So grandma for sure. Who else? I used to think like I'd like to talk to some therapists, or like some researchers, or big historical figures, or pop stars, but like honestly I'd want to have lunch with my friend Val, because she's on Vancouver Island, and like she is practically my sister. I was her man of honor this year, so I just want to have more lunches with her. It's not that we don't get lunches together, it's just I want more.
I get that.
And who's the third one?
Yeah. Well, if you only want to do 2, that's okay. And we'll have you back, and you'll think about it, and then you'll be like, I thought of the third one.
Okay, I will think of another one.
Okay, so
2 very heartfelt ones. So.
I love that. No, it's perfect. And then the third one is a promise to come back.
Okay, yes, yeah. Perfect.
Awesome. Okay, because it's me,
Yeah.
I have to ask this question. What is your favorite Pokemon? I already know, but I just wanna
Which one do you know?
Charizard?
Yeah, I'd say Charizard. It's like, I don't know. I loved Charmander when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I'm a basic Charmander bitch. But or Charizard bitch. But
No. I think Charizard's awesome.
I'm an advanced one. I'm gonna give my team.
Okay, yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
You are my, yeah,
Yeah.
you are my Pokemon buddy as well, so.
So Charizard, Gengar, Swampert for my water type,
Oh, nice, okay.
and Garchomp.
Ooh, okay. Cynthia,
Yeah, it's so fairy, so powerful. Ooh,
right?
I really Acelgor. Is that how you pronounce it?
Selger, yeah.
Yeah, I really like that as a bug type.
Very fast.
Yes, I'm ground heavy, aren't I?
You got 2 grounds.
Yeah.
Right? That's fine. Do you ever like to do the whole grass, water,
I usually
fire thing?
Usually let's just do Vileplume.
Vileplume.
I would always do Vileplume with. I did Bullet Seed. This is before. Actually, I guess this was before the special split, but
Okay.
yeah.
No, that's cool. Okay.
Nostalgically, that.
Recap. So Charizard, Gengar, Swampert,
Mm-hmm.
Garchomp, Isalgor, and Vileplume.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a decent team,
That's
isn't
a
it?
decent team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. Is there any advice that you might have for a new uncle?
That I haven't recently just gone over with the
I
whole
know.
relationship.
I don't know. Anything out there for a new uncle like me, or any advice for the next generation?
Just enjoy them growing up, and it's weird coming from me who is not an uncle, but I have my friend that I'm seeing tomorrow, she calls me Uncle Richard to
Aw.
her kid, because I was really involved in her life, in her son's throughout her son's life so far, and it's just awesome watching them grow up and just being oh shit, you can do that now. It's a crash course on child development, to be
Yeah.
honest. It's so cool.
That is so cool.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
I will definitely put that in my back
And
pocket.
next one is be able to be the person that they can go to when their parents aren't the people that they can go to, because they
Yes.
just need another adult. I feel like I didn't really have a relationship with my uncle, because he's a troubled man. But yeah, just I wish I had that, because I didn't have brothers or sisters, and
Oh, yeah.
so I guess that's why my parents, until I became an adult, they were God.
Yes, I get that.
Yeah.
Why didn't I ask this sooner? What's your favorite food or favorite meal?
I love anything really Asian-y, but pad thai is just a good pad thai but a bad pad thai is ruins my week.
Oh, no. That sucks.
Yeah, but what?
Pad Thai works.
Pad Thai works. I just love food. Do you know what? Next time we're on the show, we're just talking. I'm going to talk about food.
Okay.
That should be our next topic that we do.
I love that.
Because
That'd be fun.
I'm actually another tangent.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of working with my other counselor friend, and we're thinking of making a cookbook for people who are depressed.
Oh my god, genius.
Yeah, and so the idea is we're gonna have recipes that are you can barely get out of bed, but you need nutrients. Here is something to, it's time to do some behavioral activation of you need to go out and do something and be proud of yourself. Why don't you try baking your own bread?
Wow.
That's a skill that you can learn and feel good about.
Wow.
So I think there's so much you can do with cooking, and
I'm buying that book. If you ever,
if I ever publish it.
I think you should consider it. That sounds like a little gold mine there.
Yeah, I think so too. You can describe, relate psychological concepts to food, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's been a pleasure. That
Yeah.
was epic. That was an amazing
Yeah.
conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for having me back. And again, food next time.
Food. Yes. Amazing. All right.
Okay.
Okie doke. Well, there we go. There is my conversation with Richard. I just wanted to take this moment again to say thank you to Richard for coming onto the podcast, and I'm excited because we are already scheduling our food conversation, and I'm actually kind of excited about that, having him come back and talk about food. I know I like to eat it. But like I said at the top of this episode, I will be taking a bit of a hiatus in order for me to record a whole bunch of other episodes for season 2. I'm really excited for season 2. I've got another editor. I've got someone making some new theme music for me, and I might have some access to a space. And I don't know what this is going to come of, but I'm excited to lean into it. Yeah, I've already recorded a few episodes, and those conversations were really fun, and there's a lot to look forward to, and I'm excited to bring that to you. But this is going to be just my phase right now where I just record them all and then package them all up, and then maybe set them out onto my distributor, and just relax, you know what I mean, and just let the episodes release on their own, because this routine of trying to get it out the same day doesn't work, as you can tell. But anyways, I do hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope there's something that you could take with you that was taught in this episode in some way. And to Brambling, man, I hope that this conversation helps you too, because I think I've listened to it maybe 3, 4, 5 times already. Yeah, it's really cool. Just know that I love you so much, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. The Dear Brambling Podcast is a podcast dedicated to my little nephew, to the next generation of humans growing up in this world, as well as to those who might be looking for a little more guidance in their life. It is hosted by me, Luke Benoit. The editing and sound design are provided by MB Productions as well as Hideout Productions. The music that you're listening to is called Sunlight Cascading Through the Clouds by Artificial Music. If you'd like to follow me on any social media, I am on Instagram and Twitch at Lucatronosaurus Rex. And for those who are still listening this far into the podcast, I'd like to take a moment to really thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'd also like to say that if you are experiencing any difficulties or pain in your life right now, there is still no substitute for a trained coach, counselor, or licensed therapist. If you are committed to putting in the work and really trying to better yourself as a human, I definitely recommend that you go searching and shopping for the right coach, counselor, or therapist for you.